Shut this bad boy off.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Thursday, March 14th, 2019. Please stand for the salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on the agenda is opening comments. Mr. Lombard?
I'm all set.
Mr. Burrell?
Okay, yep.
You're all set?
Yep.
Okay, same here. Okay, next is approve February 14th Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the minutes of February 14, 2019.
Second. Second.
Discussion.
Set.
I'd like to say to Bobby Joe, you did a very good job on this. Thank you. Very well done.
You're reading my part again here.
I know.
I know.
Richie was supposed to...
Yeah.
Good, Richie's supposed
Did you read?
You're a little slow.
Well,
I don't think it was that at all.
I know.
Next on the agenda, and...
Vote.
Oh, you want to vote?
We need to vote on that, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Well done. On Citizens Forum, the last meeting was, in fact, a month ago, and in our discussion period, some citizens actually got up and spoke again. That was my mistake. After Citizens Forum, we should not have that much citizen involvement in a business meeting. Again, that was me, but I thought it was appropriate because some people had some things to say. So beginning Citizens Forum, please.
Hi, Alice Court, 7 Valley Road. I wanted to talk about two things quickly. One is the whether there's any information about financials coming from Northeastern. I understand that people from Town Hall are trying to get that information from Northeastern about how many scholarships were awarded and so forth, but I haven't received any information that, is clearly, true or absolute or confirmed by either the town or by Northeastern about, again, I think they gave $25,000 at some point, but whether they give it annually since 2017 or just once, I'm still not sure. So I don't know how to go about having a compilation of what their contributions have been over the 50 years and who to approach with that. But the second thing I wanted to talk about actually has to do with that last conversation where we jumped up a couple of times. And I wanted to hand you each something, and then I'll talk about it. This has to do with the discussion about whether or not the new Nahant wetlands bylaw had any effect on Northeastern's plans. And I know Kristen Kent does an amazing job, but she thought that that vote had nothing to do with Northeastern. And I have to confess, I partly supported it because of the effect it was going to have on the Northeastern plans. And Mr. Lombard was under the impression that it had had absolutely no effect on the East Point design. And if you go back to the December 11th meeting at minute 28, the architect from Payette, Mr. Robert Scheffner, was developing the overlay to show what effect each law has on the restrictions. And the very last overlay he did, and this I took from a screen print from my computer, so it was a little fuzzy, so I retyped the text. on it, but this is, the drawing is his screen print of the slide. And what's in yellow is the new Nahant Wetlands Bylaw restricted area that puts that land on East Point under the oversight of the Conservation Commission. And because that area is very difficult to see, on the second page, I colored it in blue for you. So you can see that there's actually a very substantial amount of the East Point part that was not affected before, but only became affected by the new Nahant Wetlands Buffer Zone bylaw. So it is incorrect to say that it had no effect, and if the law is repealed, my understanding is that all that area becomes open for Northeastern to do what they will without any oversight of a Nahant commission at all. So I know that the previous laws affected 390 homeowners on Nahant to have to put in a permit to the Conservation Commission because they're within 100 feet, and that the new Nahant bylaw added 70 more people. And I know, Mr. Burrill, at least one of your properties is affected by that, and that's hard. But I really hope that those 70 people can understand that that inconvenience that they will go through it really gives Nahant citizens a huge protection regarding the East Point site. All that area in blue, the protection is lost if the bylaw is repealed. That's my understanding, and maybe the planning board meeting next week will also go into that and confirm that. But I think it's pretty clear. And if you listen to Mr. Scheffner's comments on minute 28 or so of that December 11th meeting, he comments that it was a big effect that restricted their designs for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. I'm Marie Pazinski. I live at 36 Swallow Cave Road. And I'd like to discuss something that was brought up at the last Board of Selectmen meeting 2 weeks ago. Selectman Chesley Taylor stated that he wanted to create a parking area on Nahant Road along the stretch parallel to 40 Steps Beach, and that he would like to accomplish this before his term ends on April 27th. I want to express that for several reasons, I think this is a very bad idea, and from a public safety standpoint, a very dangerous idea. This area sees a very large increase in pedestrian, bicycle, and automobile traffic during the non-winter months, and allowing parking would only encourage more traffic and idling in a residential neighborhood. Nahant Road has a 90-degree turn approaching the 40 Steps area. Walkers, bicyclists, and pedestrians need to exercise extreme caution from unseen traffic when they cross the road in that area. And increased cars will create a more hazardous situation in an area that has already had as many as 5 cars go over the guardrail there at 40 Steps. They went over the cliff down onto the beach. Mr. Taylor suggests a 15-minute time limit for the parking, and having the Nahant Police Department responsible for monitoring cars 24/7 would place an unrealistic burden on the town police force. In addition, coastal erosion has impacted 40 Steps Beach in recent years, including the slope area above the beach. So it is not in the town's interest to place more of a physical burden in this area. The added traffic, the cars idling, will increase noise and pollution in a natural resource area. A few of us over the weekend thought we would ask the opinion of other Nahant citizens. So at this time, I'd like to share with you a citizen's letter of concern, which respectfully requests that the Board of Selectmen continue to designate as a no parking zone the area on Nahant Road from the property line abutting the beach at 386 Nahant Road to the end of Nahant Road at the junction of Swallow Cave Road. This letter is signed by 126 citizens, many of whom do not live along that stretch of road and yet are overwhelmingly concerned about public safety. I ask that you consider the sentiments of these Nahant citizens and keep the area along 40 Steps Beach a no parking zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, can I speak? Sure. The board's agreed not to do anything up there, okay? And based on the police chief, he's make his recommendation that there should be no parking in that area. So I've agreed with the police chief, and we're not gonna move on that parking, okay?
That's just Mr. Lombard talking. I have not officially talked to the police chief or the town administrator or anyone. It was an idea thrown out. That's it. So these two can talk to anyone they want in town. I'm going through the town administrator to look into it. And I'll go what he says.
And I haven't heard, I
And he
haven't
hasn't
talked to
said
anybody
anything.
either.
So,
And it actually caught me by surprise at that last meeting. I had no idea that was even gonna come up. So, and we didn't vote on it, so.
there's nothing voted on. But if I have to, I will. Mr. Mahoney?
Hi, Bill Mahoney, 171 Willow Road. We had that meeting on December 11th regarding the presentations from Northeastern, and I haven't heard much from the selectmen as to the negotiations, what's going on between you and Northeastern. I know you said it was going to be kind of open when you took chairmanship regarding this, and I'd like to know what's going on a little more. Also, there was citizens were allowed to make comments, I think, either that evening or on the internet regarding choices, et cetera. I haven't heard feedback on that. I'd like to see if we could get something out to the public on that.
You get that for them, Mr. Town Administrator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just, Alice, you had mentioned that you wanted to know what Northeastern gives us and has given us over the years. I think they give us 4 scholarships, and they give the school $25,000 a year. And they've been, how long have they been doing the $25,000? I think since the override, the yes, no vote, which was a while ago, they came through and they funded art and music. So that's gotta be at least
We,
10 years?
I don't think it's 10. I want to say it's like 6 or 7, but I'd have to
gonna say
double
6.
check.
Was that?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
all right. So that's,
15, 16, 17. Yeah. 5 years.
No, not for that, the
No,
money to the school.
There's only 2 scholarships.
and honestly, I don't
Half
consider,
scholarships,
I don't
not
consider
2.
scholarships, Billy, a payment, because scholarships don't cost them anything. So I'm in agreement with that. I think scholarships are just a throwaway answer. for
I
anybody.
think that's the trickiest part, is that we hear 4 half scholarships, 2 half scholarships, or it keeps changing, and that's why
And again, I don't care about that. I really don't care.
Let me make it clear. There's only 2 scholarships, half scholarships been given, not 4. It's only been 2, and there's $25,000 to the Johnson School. That's
it.
all they've given us for the last few years.
And we haven't negotiated with anybody.
If I can just,
Besides, I mean, everybody thinks that we're negotiating, we're not, I haven't negotiated with anybody. I know I've been accused of it. Absolutely not.
All right.
Not with me, no.
All right. People can get up and talk at the mic.
if I can just clarify
Go ahead.
on the scholarships. The offer, what Northeastern offers is 2 half scholarships to full-time students that are Nahant residents. It's based on, I believe it's based on the credits that they get. So in other words, if they are studying abroad, they're not getting a scholarship at that time. That being said, I don't know if for every year that they've been offering that 2 students have actually received it. So, I want to be clear that it may not be that 2 students have received scholarships every year, although that's what Northeastern has offered the town.
But I'm not sure exactly, the students receiving the scholarship, I think either one of them, or maybe both, have already graduated. So I'm not sure if the new scholarships have been presented from the list of Nahant residents.
Yeah, the town we don't hold on to that information.
Right.
Northeastern has it. I will say that, I've heard some complaints about the process of how to apply for it and how to get the information about it, and I think we should have a conversation with Northeastern regardless of what happens with this, in this town.
Yep.
And this expansion. That process should be simplified, it should be more clear. People, the residents, potential students of Nahant going to Northeastern should know how to apply for it and how to, and what, what the criteria is in order to get it. That's something that we should have a conversation with them about,
Okay.
regardless.
All right.
Thank you. Michelle Capano, 29 Ocean Street, Nahant. Just a point of clarification around Northeastern in terms of their contribution to the town. So under pilots, if you reviewed them, there are 2 components. One is cash. We get $25,000, as I understand, every year that funds a part of a teacher's salary. The other component is community benefits. The dialogue that you just were having around community benefits are the 2 half scholarships for students that educationally qualify. And I think Mr. Barletta raised a very good point that the process and the communication and notification to Nahant student residents probably needs to be improved. But I would just keep those 2 points separate, community benefits and cash payments. So it's really important. Along with that, it would be nice to know what other community benefits, because as I understand, in 2017, we had to pay for 3 hands-on educational classes at the Johnson School, and that was funded by the Nahant Education Foundation. So I don't deem that as a community benefit. So if there's other community benefits, I think they should be highlighted so we understand what they are.
Michelle, one of those sessions, Northeastern, they were charging $500 for that program to be presented at the Johnson School students.
Right, and it came out, as I understand, in the annual report, Nahant Education Foundation paid for those. That's what was in the annual report, so that's what I'm referencing.
No, when we found out about it, I told Northeastern that we're not going to pay, and they're going to present that to the students. It's the same year that I asked for the scholarships, okay, and they gave us, I didn't follow up as well because I thought it was 2 full scholarships, not half. They caught me by surprise with the half scholarships. And the $25,000 was for the program over there for the music and, they've been still paying that, but, they have not been a good neighbor to us, okay? They just have not been, and as far as negotiate, we have not negotiated Billy at all. We haven't talked to him, we haven't talked to anybody. I know I haven't, I know the board hasn't. We got a lead team of the chairman and the town administrator leading the team, but we haven't meeting because we've been too busy, they've been too busy with the town budget and the special town meeting and the override and everything else, so Northeastern's been put on the back burner for now. They have not made a move, they haven't, filed any permits or any requests for permits or anything like that. So that's where it stands, Billy. No one's done anything yet. Okay, I want to let you know, we have not met with them, and of course, we're...
Bill, could you come up, please?
Yeah, I just recall a month and a half ago at a meeting that you had heard they were going to come forth with something, and also some type of financial deal or something to that effect. That's the last I heard of it.
Yeah, we haven't received anything at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did say they intended on sending us some type of completed document of community benefits that they would be offering, but we haven't received it.
Deborah Vanderslice, 368 Nahant Road. When you say you haven't met with them, I just wanted to ask for clarification. Have you had phone calls with them and not actually met in person?
No.
No.
No, the main objective here is through the town administrator and our lawyer.
Okay. And did I mishear, but at a few meetings back, and Tony, you could answer this, did you say there were 18 discussions with them? I thought I heard that when I was watching a meeting.
We had a number of meetings with Northeastern leading up to the December 11th public meeting, which was basically to get that organized and have that presentation put together, make sure that they were addressing concerns and comments that were raised by the community, and making sure that their presentation was as clear as possible. And I think we did meet with them once or twice afterwards as a follow-up, but Richie's right, I haven't met with them in quite some time because we've been so focused on budget.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just wondering, given they presented 3 options, what the next step would be in terms of what they've arrived at, given feedback from the survey. People I know have met with them. Jeff Trussell asked me to meet with him in December after that meeting. I know they've gotten feedback, and I was just wondering, because people, myself included, just want to know what's going on, and will there be another meeting with them to show what they're proposing as their kind of final solution, or do we even know that?
Nothing's planned right now. I think that's something that we could definitely talk about. I mean, if they file something with the building department, if they apply for a building permit,
Yep.
that'll be based on, I would assume, one of those design elements, and I guess we could ask them. I would defer to the board, I guess, but I think there's nothing planned right now.
Okay, thank you.
My problem with that, for your answer, my problem with that is if they apply on a Thursday or Friday, I think their next step is they're going to apply, because I know I had some good feedback from the Keep Nahant Wild people who thought the same thing. If they do it on a Thursday or Friday and we have to wait a week to let the people know before our meeting, so we're going to work that out as soon as whatever happens, the town should know right away.
I think they'll know, right? I think people.
Well, in
it'll
this
get
town,
around
everyone,
like
yeah,
wildfire.
but in this town, everyone has their own way of looking at things, so.
Right. They haven't applied. I haven't talked to them. You said that Jeff Trussell wants to meet with you. Why don't you meet with
Oh,
him?
no, I did. I met with him a week before
What'd he say?
Christmas. Oh,
Please tell us, because you probably know more than me.
Oh, no, I know Jeff because Bob and I volunteer for swim and we clean the beach. So I've known him for a while and we have a good relationship. However, he just asked me to come by and we talked about his solutions, and I personally disagree about building on the hill. I don't disagree with science. I don't disagree with maybe enhancing what they have, and I just shared my opinions with him.
So what's his solution?
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know his solution, but when I left, he's a good guy, but he said to me when I left that we would just agree to disagree. But it was a very pleasant exchange, and I think he wants to hear from citizens, but I also think he wants citizens to support his options, obviously. So we just agreed to disagree, and there's no animosity there.
Well, they did, in December, they made that presentation, and quite frankly, we had told them before that they better come through with, I mean, I think it was a big difference in television and the way they presented it. Now, whether you agree with it, with their options or not, they did a good presentation because they had, behind that curtain, I think they had, it was full of video equipment and whatever. So the people that actually saw it at home, it was clear. It was very clear. They had TV screens everywhere. So I mean, again, I can't agree with, I don't know what people want. I mean, nobody wants a building up there. All I can say is they made a decent presentation.
I
Would
agree
you
they
agree?
made a decent presentation, and I agree that they tried to come back with something they thought might appease us or they'd get buy-in for, and I think they really tried. But I think for many reasons that I don't need to go into, and I think we all know, there are those of us who don't really want to see the hill above the bunker tampered with for mostly environmental reasons. And so I left Jeff saying, maybe you could think out of the box and just kind of blue sky it. If you weren't to build on that hill, what would your solution be? And he kind of said, oh, we spent so much money on the architects, you know. And I was like, go find a solo practitioner and bring them up here and just say, hey, this is what I want, and the people, or 1,700 people, don't want it up there. What would you suggest? So I don't know if he's pursued it. I haven't spoken to him, but I want to reiterate there was no animosity, and we did agree to disagree.
Talk about putting the building up front at all?
He did not. I did, but he did not. Well, I meant not putting it out. There's already buildings there, but reworking the buildings. That's all. There was no great discussion, in-depth discussion, because I don't know that much about it. And he really isn't thinking that way. So, I mean, I just wish there'd be a little more creativity in the thinking around what they're doing there, only because 1,700 people, 60% of voting people in the town had made it clear. And Enzo, I mean, even you have said to me that you'd prefer they don't build up there, but what are the options for us? So
I said what?
you would prefer they don't build there, but given they own the land, what are the options? So, I mean, I don't know the answer, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just bring this up because I was curious what the next step might be in the process, especially in terms of communicating, because when we were out getting signatures for this, people just said, well, what's going on in town? They had no idea what was going on. And I don't know any more than they know, but I think, you know, we used to have a monthly newspaper, and we don't anymore. And not everybody is on Facebook, and Facebook isn't always the most informative vehicle anyway. So I just think people want to know, and I just personally wanted to know if we knew what the next step was in terms of communicating to the citizens what the thinking is after the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One follow-up was Josh Antrim a couple of weeks ago at an earlier meeting suggested that the town look into the legality from the earlier bylaw from about 20 years ago that created the natural resource area, and thought that legally we should have an answer to that even before Northeastern submits any plans, you know. So I don't know if there's any follow-up and if that's being looked into on a legal basis.
Yes. The board agreed with Josh. I agree with Josh. We had an executive session at our last Board of Selectmen meeting, the very next one after that comment that Josh raised, and brought our attorney in and talked about it amongst a group. So we are looking into it and preparing for that. I don't think that we can discuss where we ended up at this time. It's still being reviewed, but we are definitely preparing for it.
Roger Pasinski, 36 Swallow Cave Road. Yeah, my only question right now is try to get a little more detail as to the status of the survey. I was really happy that you folks put out the survey, and I don't have haven't heard anything back as to how many people filled it out. I know I did, but it's quite a while ago, and I assume the four of you control that survey information, so is it still open? Are you still waiting for more people to fill it out, or has it been sent out to have the data crunched, or and what would be the timeline for us to get feedback about that survey?
I think it's still open. I think you could still fill out an answer to it. The intent of the survey was to provide us some information about how folks felt about the presentation, whether they were here or not, give them an opportunity to digest it and really give us some feedback as to what they heard from Northeastern that night. It wasn't, we never really had a set date on releasing it. It's public information. We can post the results. We just haven't, because it wasn't the intent of the tool. But we could post the results on the website, the results that we have. We could close it and post it.
Mr. Chairman?
Great.
I think that Mr. Brzezinski is right on target. I mean, people need to know this stuff. And I would say, get that out there, get the results of the survey out there. I would also say that we should give them the results of the assessment, what they come in at.
Again, our attorney has advised us that because that could potentially find its way into a courtroom or, potential litigation, that we should not be releasing that at this time.
But these people want it. The public wants it. I have no problem giving it to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of public interest, and I think you've been very open, Tony, and we've loved your spirit of openness. Over the last couple of months, there's really been very little information coming out and so forth, and I think, at least releasing the survey and hopefully all detail would be great. I think some people wrote some subjective comments at the end of it, not just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and so I think the public would like to see that, and it sounds like there's no reason why we shouldn't. So thank you very much.
Even if it's not a cutoff date, we can give the information that we have compiled.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Let's finish this. We got business. Go ahead. That's right.
Thank you. Michelle Capano, 29 Ocean Street, Nahant. Just a couple of things. As you recall, 1,700 citizens signed that open letter last year, right? You hear it all the time, and it's very important to us. Not to me, but to the residents in this town. Mr. Barletta highlighted something important. One is the real estate assessment. And Mr. Burrell has said on several occasions he wants to release it. And I agree with Mr. Barletta. It is a tool in our toolbox, and if you decide to give that tool away, you will irreparably impact the town.
Yes.
And you keep advocating it, Mr. Burrell, and I don't understand why you want to do that on the advice of your town administrator and town council. There are other tools in that toolbox. The wetlands protection bylaw that we passed last year is another tool, and you want to repeal that. We can talk the merits of that separately, and we can talk about the residents that were newly added to the jurisdiction and how we are very fortunate with a Conservation Commission. Resident volunteers are dedicated to helping people see through that process when they have to do construction. But I would ask that you think thoughtfully about the tools that we have, and there's lots of tools, including funding tools and outside sources, which you haven't even addressed regarding what our actions might be. So those are just things to consider. And, we have a town administrator who's juggling so many things, and I commend him. But I think one of the most entire things that he keeps saying is we need to think about our tools in our toolbox. And he has brought that up several times, so I hope that you'll consider it.
Can I just rebut that, Michelle? It's Keeping Nahant Wild that wants it. Keeping Nahant Wild, the Preservation Trust, everybody wants, I've heard from Christian Bauda, I've heard from Peter Rogel, I've heard from all those people that they want that. They want the information.
So let's clarify,
again-
let's just clarify that about that.
Okay.
Last year, private funds through residents donated over $70,000 to pay for the real estate assessment and gift that money to the town for that purpose. That purpose is to be an instrument for us to use at some point. It could be to our legal advantage. Now, there are difference of opinions, and they're residents just like I am.
So who represents the Keeping Nahant Wild? Is it you?
No.
Okay. Well, because I'm hearing from all different people. I mean, they come down the garage, they say, we want that. I get
And
phone calls,
several
"We want
meetings
it."
ago,
Keeping
you-
Nahant Wild says they want it. Preservation Trust says they want it. So tell me, what...
Well, who owns the work product? The town of Nahant or the Nahant Preservation Trust? Let legal counsel
Well,
for
sometimes
both.
I wonder.
Well, that's the question you need to answer. Who owns the work product? Nahant
do.
Pres. Are you
Because-
sure about that? I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the
Tell me
legal
who-
agreement.
Tell me...
So I don't know what the legal
Preservation
agreement
Trust or
says.
Keeping Nahant Wild gave us the money, correct?
As I understand, yes.
Okay, so once they gave us the money, who owns the money? Who hires, we were told to hire an
You
eminent
received a
domain
gift
lawyer.
agreement. I don't know what the gift
Had an
agreement.
agreement. Would
No.
would you like to see the agreement? I have it right here.
If
Anything
you
you
have the
wanna
gift
see.
agreement, I'm happy to review it, but I'm not an attorney, so I would default to your town council to ask them, based on the merits of the gift agreement and what you signed, who owns the work product. And certainly, I don't want to waste any more of your time. We know you have a full agenda and items to go through. I will caveat with this. Several meetings ago, you had questions for Keep Nahant Wild. If you do have questions, if you put them in writing and send them to us, we'll be happy to answer them and then schedule a meeting with you and the town administrator to go through them.
So let me ask you this, another question. I was approached by Keep Nahant Wild to have a meeting, and they wanted to have two selectmen, and a bunch of people from Keep Nahant Wild there, and I said, that's fine, but it has to be public. And I was told, absolutely no. I have it in writing, absolutely no, because
When
they
you say
wanted-
you have it on
they wanted
record,
to
do you
keep it
have
private.
oral record, or written record, text message,
I have it-
email?
I saved every one of my emails, and I have the.
Well,
I
then
have
you
it-
need
a
to,
text and an
if you want to
email.
forward me the
And
email.
I'm
No,
not going to get into that.
Then I
but
think we're done. Thank
Everybody
you.
needs to be transparent, Michelle, okay?
Right.
Everybody.
To wrap this up, pardon me, I spent 8 meetings with Northeastern, with the town administrator, with our lawyer, 8. I stopped going out to meetings after that, after I was accused of having secret meetings at one of our selectmen's meetings. Only because people in town thought I was going to run for selectman, so they wanted, you got to make Taylor look bad. Well, I'm not running. But the result of those meetings and the town administrator and our lawyer was the December 11th meeting. There was no transparency issues. Everything that we discussed and we pushed for, including the meeting date, was set up and said to you, the town, on December 11th. So, and now since then, there has been no communication. We've been waiting to hear from them for a final, full version of what they're going to do. And we got stuck with budget and other stuff that we have to do. And another thing to go back with what I heard, this is from the minutes, and I wanted to make sure this was in the minutes, that in fact, I had a few of the Keep Nahant Wild people agree with me. The East Point is zoned NR. To stop Northeastern University, all we have to do is enforce our bylaws. It should be at the planning board level, the Concom level, the business inspector, and the planning board. And that's what Alice has done with the maps, I hope is done at the planning board meeting, because it's an eye-opener. And this, again, this is good stuff. Okay, next, I'm done with Citizens Forum. New business, appointment of town treasurer collector. Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long process. We've posted the position twice. The first time, we didn't get much response, so we put it back out. We opened the position back up, and we got some more applications. A lot of interest. Some qualified, some not qualified. We narrowed the pool of applicants down to 3 and then 2, and had a second round of interviews, had reference checks, and ultimately the treasurer that I'm recommending for appointment is a gentleman named Brendan Corritt. And so this would be pending a background check. His start date would be April 1st.
April 1st.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the town administrator's appointment of Brendan Corritt to fill the vacated position of treasurer collector pending a full background check.
Second the motion.
Discussion. He calls you Antonio? Wow.
He really wanted the job.
Wow. I was very fortunate to be part of the interview process. He's young, I shouldn't say that word. He's very good. He will help the town. And I'd like to spend some time and thank Kathy Famulari for all she's done. She really helped us out. I thanked her, and she said, well, you paid me anyway. And I said, well, that's Kathy. But thank you, Kathy. Good job. Okay. Need a vote, discussion?
Yeah, Tony, going through his resume, he's well qualified, extremely well qualified. And I think it'd be a welcome addition to your team. And I also like to thank Kathy for filling in. She stepped up
Tremendously.
for us. That's all I have.
Further discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Thank you, Mr. Balena.
Thank you.
Next, vote on annual town meeting cover photos. Let's just not do this.
Just as presented.
Okay,
I thought we decided already.
This is
as
top secret.
presented. We did it by phone.
Well, I thought, I had some, yeah, this is
Well,
fine.
we don't want to say what it is.
No, not yet, but
Okay.
this is.
Top secret.
Top secret. Okay,
The idea here, just, it's supposed to be a surprise.
correct.
So it's not a transparency thing, but that's why we're just going to be voting it as presented to you.
As presented, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the 2018 annual town report covers as presented by the town administrator. I so move that, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
No.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Approve YMCA of Metro North 5K road race for May 18th. Start time 8:30 a.m.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the annual YMCA 5K stride on May 18th, 2019, from 8:30 to 11 a.m. at the Life Saving Station in Nahant.
I'll second the motion for discussion.
Discussion. Seeing and hearing none?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion. Go
May
ahead.
18th, is that a Saturday? Is it a Saturday?
Wait a minute, we got it right here.
It is.
It is a Saturday. I want to make sure that since that's going to be coming out of the Coast Guard station, we have adequate police officers and details for that.
Okay. It did go through a,
The check, I see that. Did the police chief
Yes.
sign off on this?
yep.
And it's usually before beach time.
No, I understand, but
If
it's
we do
just a very difficult area, that Coast Guard, the traffic coming in and out.
Those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Unanimous.
I'm sorry. I'm reading the...
Declare 1981 Mack fire truck as surplus equipment.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Board of Selectmen vote to declare the surplus for the following. Number one, a 1981 Mack fire truck. The VIN number, and I'm not going to read the VIN number, but
Right.
that's the old fire truck. The new one's already here.
I'll second it for discussion.
Discussion.
None.
I think the, one of our, somebody up there wants to buy it for their kid. Park the fire truck in their yard.
It's pretty big.
Good truck to drive around in.
The other day, the fire department had a ceremony dedicating the new, or bringing the new engine on board, and they talked a little bit about this old engine, and it actually came from New York.
Right.
In 2004. And apparently, it was covered in New York Yankee stickers when it arrived in 2004. When we beat them in the World Series, our fire department respectfully sent those back to the station that this that the truck came from.
That was a 9/11 truck, too.
Yeah, it's served the town well.
Yeah, it's a, you know, those old diesels are great. New ones are not so good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Request buyback of cemetery plot, William Martin.
Okay, I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the buyback of cemetery plot from William Martin.
Second.
Discussion. No, I think it's a good deal. I mean, we can always use the space.
Okay?
I think Billy and Kathleen are living in California now, so
Further discussion?
I appreciate that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Approve one-day liquor license for Nahant Veterans Association, multiple dates.
I mo-
Oh, go ahead.
I move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the one-day liquor license for the Nahant Veterans Association on the following dates: March 16th, May 4th, May 29th, June 14th, December 21st, and November 11th.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I want to make sure that the Legion's having a St. Patty's Day on March 16th. Usually it's a nice time. I think the tickets are $20. It would be a nice take. People support the Legion.
Can you buy them at the door, Richie?
Yeah, I think you can, yeah, there's no problem.
Good.
I just want to thank the Veterans Association and Peter.
Prednisone.
In the past, we've approved these liquor licenses one at a time throughout the year, and it's a ton of paperwork, and it's actually timely administratively, and we work together over the winter to put this together as a collective one-time request. So I want to thank him for the time he put into it to help us out and make this a quicker process.
That was very nice, yeah.
Yeah, he was right on the ball with the email, too. That was nice. Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Nice. Town Administrator report, please.
I have on here listed town meeting warrant and budget development strategy. I'm actually going to postpone to the next Board of Selectmen meeting. We have been working with the FinCom regularly over the last few weeks. We are putting some final touches together. I've been trying to attend as many events as possible around town to inform the residents of our financial situation in town and, the purpose of the override. And I'm going to continue to do so. I hope to have one or two public meetings here at the town hall during the week or on the weekend in April as we approach April town meeting, so to give people an additional opportunity to understand the book that they receive in the mail before coming to town meeting and the importance of the vote. So I'll just postpone until the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
And the next board meeting will be, in fact, the 28th of February.
March.
What did I say, February? Oh, gosh, March. We have to make sure that we open and put in all the warrant articles, because they go to print, right?
Right,
3-4 days later?
right. They have to go to the printer by the 1st of April
1st of April, okay.
in order to reach residents 14 days in advance.
So, and the potential on the 28th is for, well, not a potential, we want the Coast Guard Housing Committee here for...
They're actually meeting right now downstairs, and I ran down and let them know that we're going to be meeting on the 28th.
They were okay with that?
They're
28th?
okay with that, and I will, I asked them to just keep in contact with me. We could, if possible, for them to have a recommendation for a warrant article, I'll have something drafted so we can quickly put it in if it's ready. And if it's not, then we don't have to worry about it. But I think they would appreciate the extra time anyways.
Okay. Oh, you want to talk? Go ahead, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I want to congratulate you, Tony, making the extra effort to go around to the various organizations and present your budget. The feedback was excellent. You've done an excellent job putting on a slide, going through the special town meeting, the override, and the budget. And I want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
That's all I
I would agree. He's done a great job.
It's,
And you've kept us in the loop, which is amazing for us.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
But, you know, for me, it's essential that, you know, folks in town have an opportunity to understand the budget and the financial situation, because it's a very important decision that they will be making at town meeting and the day of the vote. So I'm just trying to educate them as much as possible and get out there as much as I can so people understand, you know, where we are and what we're looking to do.
Ongoing business? Thank you, Mr. Town Administrator. Ongoing business, Mr. Lombard?
I have
Do you have any business?
No, I'm all set. I'm sure there's a couple things that I'm forgetting.
Closing announcements? Closing announcements? Closing arguments?
Oh,
Any arguments you wanted to have? No?
Marty wanted me to let everybody know that he's been using his own car, his own vehicle to pick up litter on the streets, and he's doing a good job at it. He got himself a new car, so he wanted me to let people know that he's using his own vehicle to do this. So,
That's,
there you have it.
I guess that's a closing announcement.
There you go.
Marty does a great job.
He does.
He does a great job. Unlike other communities, Nahant, it's very rare to see, you know, we have such a clean community. And, you know, Marty, along with the rest of the DPW, they do a great job for us.
Also, just my announcement, that the DPW on the big storm, the foot, they did a great job. Actually, they wake me up all the time when there's a manhole they hit every single time in front of my neighbor's house. They hit it every time. It's because it sticks up. As soon as it started snowing, they were out there, but they should have been out there, because when we get up, the streets were really bare, and that was a foot of snow. So they did a great job.
We need to look at and have the public works start identifying the potholes around town. There's a service they bring in that, you know, usually not only do their pothole, but they cut a square, and they really do a nice, fine job. And these streets, we've had a tough winter, and there's quite a few potholes, you know, that even on the roadway coming into town, up by Little Nahant, major ones. So we've got to designate those areas and get them in here. And I hope the winter's over. I'm pretty sure it is, but you don't know. But I mean, I just the potholes have become a priority.
I just have one more.
Sure.
The 19th, there will be a, am I correct, Kristen? Kristen just texted me. There's going to be a wetlands regulations bylaw meeting at 7 PM. So that's Tuesday?
Yep.
19th? Okay.
Tuesday. Good. Thank you, Chris.
The planning board's meeting the same night, I guess.
Conservation Commission on the 19th at 7? Downstairs. And the planning board's, the same night, I guess.
Yeah.
So
And it's
is-
about the,
Downstairs.
At the same time?
they're gonna speak on the planning board's supposed to, I don't know what their agenda is. I can just tell you what I'm hearing, that they're gonna speak on the natural resource.
Yeah, what I had said, yeah.
Let's connect.
But that's good.
I know the finance committee's supposed to be meeting that night too, so
Busy night.
might need to do it up here if this space is available. Okay, well, I'll defer to Peggy then.
I think the conservation should have priority over the finance committee.
We got enough space for everyone.
I owe you one. No, I owe you one, okay?
You are a troublemaker.
No, I just think, they're not going our way, so it doesn't matter, but we'll take care of it on town floor.
Okay, gentlemen. Motion to adjourn?
Well, wait a minute, we want to move into, we want to,
No. What about going to executive session?
no, but we've got to have, open the town warrant. You gonna open
No,
the-
we're skipping
That's
next
going to be the 28th.
next meeting.
Right, you are going to put that off.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll
This
put
is
it off
ready?
to the 28th.
We could open tonight and just leave it open. So you get it ready? It doesn't matter.
Not
If
necessary.
somebody has an article they wanna put on there, we'll put it out.
Is there any other articles we need to put in?
We'll know on the 28th better.
Right.
Motion to
If they do,
adjourn?
we're gonna put it on.
Motion to adjourn?
I second it. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. 7:58.